Hi, and thanks for tuning in to This Week in East Brunswick, the township's own news and information program. Today we'll preview a murderous new mystery comedy called Something's Afoot, coming soon to the stage at Votech High School. Later in the program, we'll show you some student art currently on display at the library. Our regular features will include tax information. First, how to find tax forms in the library from Susan Keel on For Your Information. And then, tips on how to prepare your own taxes from Adrian Eisner on Consumer Aware. Photographer Bob Nemser will offer camera advice on Quick Clicks, and Ken Shalhoub will have some timely information on dyeing Easter eggs on Health Facts. And we'll end with our Township Council review. First, here's next week's Channel 8 schedule. Monday at 10 a.m., it's Soft Aerobics with Lenore Kulik on Look Great, Feel Great, followed at 10:30 a.m. by Paula Durant and Target, and a discussion of the East Brunswick schools with Dr. Joseph Sweeney and Amy Fisher. Tuesday evening at 7:30, Let's Talk Health investigates the head trauma facility at JFK Hospital in Edison, followed at 8 by One-on-One Financial Planning with Paul Hansen and his guest Robert Gellner of Acacia Financial Services. Wednesday afternoon at 3, it's Stories from the Library, read by East Brunswick librarians. Then, Wednesday evening at 7:30, Spotlight on Education looks into guidance services in our schools. And we'll be back next week with more local news and information on This Week in East Brunswick. Now let's join Dolly Vasta.
Don't look now, but something's afoot. Hi, I'm Dolly Vasta for This Week in East Brunswick, and behind me, the cast is in rehearsal for that murderously funny musical, Something's Afoot, opening at the Votech High School on Ruse Lane, right here in East Brunswick, on April 4th. Let me move away and let's catch some of the rehearsal.
Don't be bound by superstition. I'm forced to admit a supposition. Without a quiz, that something is up. Exploding stairs are very rare. You just don't find them everywhere. Without a quiz, that something is up. Considering the way he died, I don't think it was suicide. Without a quiz, that something is up. The situation's not the best for someone who is a weekend guest. Without a quiz, that something is up. And the butler didn't do it. Murder, a very serious business.
Murder? Rank as retreat?
Perhaps two.
What do you mean?
Recall Clive's last words.
Dinner is served?
No.
I wonder if he's really dead. Let's try. Oh, look, he's fine.
Yes, he's had a marvelous recovery.
It's my old friend Ernie Albrecht, director of Something's Afoot. Ernie, in a capsule version, what is the show about?
Well, it's based upon Agatha Christie's 10 Little Indians, and throughout the show, one by one, each of the characters gets bumped off until we get to the end, and then I can't tell you any more because I'd be giving it all away.
Did the butler do it?
No, because he's the first one to get murdered.
Mm-hmm. Now, I have my secret spy, of course, who told me that you have some of the most wondrous murder devices. Could you let us in on just a couple of them?
Well, each of the murders is committed by the set, I guess you could say, because we never see anybody else do anything, but each of the characters is murdered by some ingeniously concocted device that's involved in the set.
Aha. Now, did this show originally play in London?
I think, I can't be sure if it did play in London. I first saw it at the Paper Mill Playhouse, and I fell in love with it. And then after about several months, it did get to Broadway and had a very short run, I'm sorry to say. But I still continued to love it, and I think the audiences will as well.
Well, I saw the first part of it while I was waiting, and I was laughing away.
It's a lot of fun to do, and I think the audiences will really eat it up.
I think so, too. Thank you, Ernie, for taking time out for the rehearsal to talk to us.
Thanks for being here again.
Yes, you can go back down on the floor now. Just go back and die for a while. So if you've ever enjoyed All the Plays in the Park, and I'm sure most of you have, don't miss this one. It opens April 4th. You can get your tickets by calling 548-2884. I'll see you all here. I still think the butler did it. Take care.
Hi. Quick Clicks is taking you today to the great outdoors at Johnson Park, over at the harness track, where we're going to try to show you how you can do two types of panning with the camera. The first type is where the subject stays in focus and the background goes out of focus. And the second is where the background is in focus and the subject is out of focus. Here's what you do. You try to meter your camera so that your exposure is either at a 30th of a second or a 60th of a second. And you should try it at both those speeds. That way you will get the right amount of panning and your exposure will be pretty much on key. Now, in order to keep the subject in focus and the background out of focus, what you do is you pan along with your subject so that as the horse comes around the track, you move at the same pace he's moving, and then at the correct time you click and you get him. And what happens there is your subject is in focus and the background is blurred and out of focus. Now, in order to have the opposite effect, what you could do is brace yourself against the fence and just stand there waiting for the horse to come around. And as he comes around, as he just gets into your view, you click, and what happens is the background stays in focus and the horse will be a little blurred and show the movement of the speed. And that's the way you do it. And you should try it at a 30th of a second and also at a 60th of a second. What you should try to do is you could use a 105 millimeter lens or anywhere up to a 200. You shouldn't try it with a wide angle lens because what happens with a wide angle is most things stay in focus. And that's our little trick for today. See you soon and keep clicking.
Here's a tip for Easter, how to treat your eggs. When you boil your Easter eggs, do not cool them in water, air cool them. The problem is that the shell of an egg is generally very resistant to bacterial contamination, but when you boil an egg, you open up the pores in the shell. When you cool the egg in water, although the boiling kills all the bacteria that are normally in the water, the spores of those bacteria do not die. The spores can then be drawn into the egg as the inside of the egg shrinks when it cools, and then that's a perfect growth medium for some of the more dangerous bacteria such as the Clostridia bacteria that cause botulism. So botulism is a problem in this particular case. So the point is that you must boil your eggs and then air cool them either at room temperature or better yet in the refrigerator. And eggs, even though they're hard-boiled, should be treated as perishable items and should be stored in the refrigerator because botulism is a very serious disease, and although the incidence is not high, one death in somebody's family, and it doesn't matter that the incidence isn't high because that family had to experience that tragedy. So please, take care when you boil your eggs this Easter and air dry them and store them in the refrigerator. Do not allow them to cool in the water. Thanks for watching Health Facts.
Does the library have a copy of IRS Tax Form 2106? Hi, my name is Susan Keel, Head of Reference and Information Services at the East Brunswick Public Library. Questions like this one are asked every day during this time of year, yet many of our viewers are not aware of the wide range of materials we have to help the taxpayer. Today, our question takes us to the tax information display near the reference desk. Here you will find the most popular federal tax forms, as well as copies of the most popular tax preparation guides. You can also ask for New Jersey and New York state tax forms at the reference desk. If we are out of distribution copies, you can always photocopy the specimen copies provided by the Internal Revenue Service. We also will be open until 11 p.m. April 15th for your convenience. So, does the library have a copy of Form 2106? Yes, just ask at the reference desk. If you have a question, Don't hesitate to stop by the reference desk or call us at 390-6767. Hope to see you soon.
Hello, and welcome to Consumer Aware. I'm Adrienne Eisner, Director of the East Brunswick Consumer Affairs Office. It's that time of the year again, and April 15th is approaching. Like it or not, we have to be thinking about income tax preparation. Some of you early birds may have already gotten started. Today we're going to be looking at the steps that you should be following in preparing your income tax returns. For step 1, get all of your income records together. These include any W-2 forms that you may have. Step 2, if you plan to take tax credits or to itemize your deductions, then you need to get all the information and expense records that are required. Depending on what credits and deductions you can take, some of the records you may need are medical and dental payment records, real estate and personal property tax receipts, interest payment records for items such as the mortgage on your home and installment payments on your car or appliances. Also, records of payments for child and dependent care so that you could work. Step 3, get any tax forms, tax schedules, or instruction books that you may need. In general, both the IRS and the New Jersey Division of Taxation will mail forms and schedules directly to you based on what you filed last year. Before you get ready to fill in your returns, check to see if you need more forms or schedules. If you think you will need any other forms, get them before you start to fill in the return. Your local bank, post office, or public library will have some of the federal income tax forms that you need. To call the IRS for answers to your federal tax questions, call the local office in New Brunswick. Their telephone number is 624-1223. If your income situation is relatively simple, you can prepare your tax returns yourself. In such a case, you should carefully read the latest IRS and New Jersey tax pamphlets and instructions. Where something is unclear to you, use the tax offices for assistance. In addition to the services provided by the IRS and the New Jersey Division of Taxation, trained volunteers in the VITA, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, and TCE, Tax Counselors for the Elderly programs, are available to provide assistance in the preparation of both federal and state tax returns. They are in over 200 locations throughout the state of New Jersey. To find the location nearest you, call 1-800-424-1040. If you have any further questions about preparing your own tax returns, please call us at the East Brunswick Consumer Affairs Office. Our telephone number is 390-6954. We're in the office daily, Monday through Friday, from 9 to 5. Call us at the Municipal Building for assistance. Next week, we'll be talking about how to select an income tax preparer. Hope to see you again next week. Thank you for joining me on Consumer Aware.
At this week's Township Council meeting, the Council approved the 1986 Township budget by a 3-2 vote. Councilman Louis Becker and Russell Walker turned in the 2 dissenting votes. Prior to the vote, Councilman Becker explained why he would not vote in favor of the 1986 budget.
I think it's time that instead of using post-community benefits in particular and any other items of income that happen to come in that are not of a recurring nature, to cover up anomalies from previous years in such a fashion, I can't in good conscience permit that without the public knowing exactly what some of these items are and and some of them may be extremely immense and have never been taken into account or appropriated for in previous years. So therefore, in this fashion, without making it public, exactly what your people are doing, in good conscience, I have to vote against all of them.
Council Vice President Michael Baker responded to Councilman Becker's comments.
We discussed all these issues at many, many public hearings. In fact, we discussed the same issues that you were raising about Mr. Fehrenbeck's letter and the use of host community benefits at the last two. And I very much felt the same way that you did. And so to say that we're doing this in private or in secret is really quite an annoyance, Mr. Becker.
Council President Jerome O'Connor then explained what the actual tax increase would be.
Increase, if you will, from an 8-point increase to a 3-point increase. I don't think it's terribly unreasonable, which incidentally a 3-point increase relates to a $30 increase per year on a $100,000 home. I have to say that I'm kind of surprised that Mr. Becker said what he did say, because Mr. Baker was absolutely correct. Mr. Becker did not participate in any of the budget discussions, and I think it's inappropriate for him to have said what he did. However, I think, as I said before, that we've worked very hard on this budget. I think it's a good budget. There's been a lot of compromise because many of the council members felt about the budget as differently as you may see night and day. However, there was compromise, and that's what a partisan government is all about.
Also at this meeting, several members of the Municipal Employees Association were present to show their support for the '86 budget. MEA President Paul Sarnak addressed the council.
We are a group made up of all your employees, with the exception of police officers, department heads, and library staff. As you are certain that we are aware, our contract has been expired since January 1st, 1986. Yet despite this, we have worked uninterruptedly since that time. During the last series of negotiations, our members worked without a contract for 18 months. We did not engage in any form of concerted activity which would have disrupted in any way the high caliber of services which we constantly provide and which the taxpayers have come to expect here in East Brunswick. We addressed a number of highly sensitive issues during the series of negotiations, and when they were concluded, both the township and ourselves agreed to continue to improve relationships during this series of talks. We are sorry to say, however, that it would appear as though the township has not lived up to its part of the bargain. Although we came to the bargaining table ready and willing to reach agreement as expeditiously as possible, the township's representatives did not appear to have the same expectations. As a result, we have negotiated since November, and here at the end of March, we find ourselves at an impasse with a number of township proposed givebacks still on the table. What makes this more frustrating is the fact that the association has significantly modified their proposal numerous times in order to bring it into more line with the current state of affairs in Middlesex County public employment. We have conducted a preliminary wage and benefit survey. We found that our benefit package, contrary perhaps to the information which you have erroneously been provided, is comparable to all other major municipalities in the county. Our wages are also comparable with those of major municipalities where the workforce is organized into a bargaining unit. We came to the bargaining table looking to negotiate comparable increases in wages with that of other communities and public employees, including the teachers of East Brunswick, and securing and to protect the status quo of our other benefits. We do not believe that we are second-class citizens. We believe that our performance and service to the community is first-rate, and we wish to be treated in a similar manner.
Later, Ed Cohen, chairman of the Turnpike Ad Hoc Committee, made his committee report.
We did get an invitation from Commissioner Sullivan, the mayor and I got an invitation, and Greg, to come and meet with him, and we met with him, and we explained what our objections were, and we explained what our procedure was going to be, and the things that we were going to do, and this was listened to, and I did not get a sense of optimism from the results of this meeting, although they did say that they would consider what we had talked about. There are 449 homes that are presently living in an environment that are over the federal guidelines, noise environment. They arbitrarily said that they would protect 307 homes. And the rest of them, sorry about that. And they very nicely say it in their draft environmental statement that this would not be cost effective, basically, to protect these other homes. Yet every one of these homeowners, I'm one of them, by the way, every one of these homeowners are entitled under the law to be protected. And yet they say they're not going to do it. And another example is that all the technical people, the attorney, and say that it's impossible for them to get all the permits by July. And yet they very nicely this past week put out a statement that they'll have all the permits, they'll have all the applications and that kind of thing. And when you think about it, who's to stop them? If they were going to go out there and put a shovel in the ground today, there's really no one, there's no force, there's nothing that they have to there's really nobody to stop them. There's no watchdog. One person is the watchdog, and that's the governor. And you saw in your packet that we wrote a letter and asked for a meeting with the governor and also to present our case. So we're trying on two fronts. We're taking the strident attitude of the fight for the rights of our citizens, but we're also showing that we're reasonable and willing to talk if there's going to be any give or take.
In addition, 2 proclamations were presented at this meeting. First, Mayor William Fox presented a proclamation to Gail Disleski, president of the Friends of the Library.
Whereas our library is one of our township's most valuable resources, bringing knowledge and enjoyment to nearly every East Brunswick resident. And whereas the Friends of the Library supports the work of our public library through fundraising and other worthwhile programs. And whereas the Friends of the Library hold an annual book sale at the Brunswick Square Mall as a community service for the benefit of the library and its patrons. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William F. Fox, Mayor of the Township of East Brunswick, do hereby proclaim that April 6th to 12th, 1986 shall be known as Friends Book Sale Week within the municipality in order to recognize the enormous contribution made by the Friends of the Library and to encourage participation in the book sale by all citizens.
The mayor also presented a proclamation to Edith Gutman, chairman of the Youth Services Commission, regarding Youth Week, April 6th through 12th. During this time, Civic Center Drive will be renamed Youth Way. We'll close now with a look at the Youth Art Month exhibit at the library. Youth art is celebrated nationally during the month of March. However, East Brunswick enjoys such a wealth of talented young artists that the schools and the library devote March and April to the display of their work. Work by our elementary school children was displayed in March and included posters from the Affirmative Action Contest held earlier this year. The secondary schools exhibit has just been completed and may be seen at the library throughout the month of April. Examples of collage, photography, ceramics, and other media have been included in this exhibit. Art Supervisor Ken Koppel reminds residents that an award ceremony recognizing the students' accomplishments will be held in the high school auditorium on Sunday, April 13th at 2 p.m. And that's all for this week. Thanks for watching.